Hello, boys and girls. This week we're really going to be focusing on 4.5C and D, and this has to do with area and perimeter, as well as learning the formulas to find area and perimeter of rectangles and squares, and solve problems with area and perimeter. So we're going to start out with just area and understanding what area is. So we have a picture up here. How much area do you need for a playground at the park? So think about the space that you would need for a swing set, a wagon, and even a sandbox. Okay, think about that for a minute. How much space would we need? Well, if I wanted to explain how much space I would need to have something that would help. So let's look over here and let's figure out if we can think about what is area. What is area after looking at these examples? So in this example, we have 4 squares and the area is 4 square units. Here we have 8 squares and that's why it's 8 square units. Oops, and this is in its way. Down here we have 5 squares and 5 square units. So I wonder what area is. Could you tell me what area is after hearing that and seeing this? Pause the video and think. Welcome back. I hope that you understood that instead of using a straight line to measure something, you're actually using a square. And the square has 2 dimensions. It has length and it has width. So it's the number of square units to cover a space, because length and width can cover up space. And that's when I want to put a playground somewhere, I need to have space, and we need to have a way to measure this space. So, moved it up here. So then here, this is a square unit. So instead of using, like when we use a ruler and we measure to find the perimeter, the outside, we're using actual squares to see the space inside of something. So we're actually using the shape of a square. And the square it's called a square unit. And your units depend on if you're using a centimeter by a centimeter, an inch by an inch, a foot by a foot. So here they just call this 1 square unit because we don't know what it is. So what do you think this would be? You're right, 2 square units. Okay. Now, this would be 3 square units, and you can actually put a little 2 on top of whatever your units are. Say it's a foot or an inch, or we don't know, so we're just going to put use. That little 2 says the word square, and I know one way to remember it is a square has length and it has width. It has 2 dimensions, so therefore this is 3 square units. It's 2-dimensional, 3 squares units. This would be 4 square units, or 4 units squared. Okay. And go ahead in a math journal, go ahead and work the next 2. Okay, welcome back. I hope you paused the video and worked the next 2. You should have gotten 6 units squared and 9 units or square units. Okay. Now here it says find the area, move the blue box to see the answer. So what I need you to do is pause the video, and then when I come back, we're going to go over the answers to this. Welcome back. So hopefully you got 6 square units on the first one, 6 square units on this one. I hope I can see it all. And of course, we are not able, let me pull this down if I can. There we go. There we go. Oh, and over here is 8 square units. So Notice we're using squares as our unit to measure. We're using something with length and width, so it's covering up space. So area, think of area as the number of squares it takes to cover the surface of something. Okay? Go ahead and pause the video and work these problems. Okay. Hopefully you got 6 square units, 7 square units, and 10 square units. So now in this one, you're actually going to draw. So I would like for you to pause the video and draw 3 square units. On the smartboard, we can make them with these squares right here. 7 square units, 12 square units, and 10. So I'm going to model this first one for you. And I was hoping we need this. So this is going to be 3 square units. So I'm going to put 3 of these. This is 3 square units. So then go ahead and draw 7 square units, 12. You can stack them on top of each other. They can be in a little bit of a different shape. Your areas can be different shapes. We will mainly be working with rectangles and squares, but you need to know that they do have different shapes, and 10 square units. Space to space. Okay, pause the video and finish this one. Okay. Excellent. So, and in the classroom, or if you had time, you can kind of look at this. Basically what you do is you say, is there 10 square units in it, or is there 14? And you would count these up. But since this isn't very interactive, we're not going to do this, but I wanted you to see that the area, some of them are rectangles, some of them are different shapes, but it's still squares covering up that space. So whatever space is being covered up, that's how many square units it has in it. So I hope this video and this lesson is just to understand what area is. Area is the number of square units it takes to cover a surface. So when I'm looking for the space inside of something, I'm going to be using area. And area is squared or has that little 2 or says square with it. Okay, we don't just say feet because we're not measuring the length of something. We're using square feet if it's a foot by a foot like tiles are, to see how much space is being taken up.